A country can plant crores of trees, but can we automatically call it a success? What if the samplings do not survive? What if the money is released but accounts are not properly maintained? What if different government schemes work separately instead of working together? Hello everyone, welcome back to Decode UPSC. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic for UPSC and TGPSC aspirants as well. Green India Mission. Green India Mission. What are its achievements? What are the challenges? What the recent report of CAG, what it has found it. The topic is extremely important because it connects environment, climate change, government schemes, CAG audit, public finance governance, and India's climate commitments. So, today's class is not just about remembering one scheme. We are going to understand how environmental governance actually works on the ground. So, let's begin. The very first question is that what is Green India Mission? For those aspirants who are on a longer tenure of from a longer tenure of preparation, remember you know this scheme very well. From past we have been reading this. Okay, so Green India Mission is not merely a plantation. Okay, remember, it's not mere plantation, but it is a climate it is a climate and ecosystem restoration project. It is a climate and restoration ecosystem project. Okay, so is it clear? The nation mission for Green India or Green India Mission is so one of the main missions under eight missions under National Action Plan on Climate Change. National Action Plan on Climate Change. It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in the year 2014. Implementation which began in 2015 and 16. Now students, notice one important phrase, landscape based approach. So what does it mean is that what does this landscape based approach means is that it means we should not look at one small patch and say, okay, plant trees here and our work is finished. Instead, we look at the entire ecosystem. So, we look at the entire ecosystem like forest, biodiversity, water, soil, carbon, and local communities. That is why Green India Mission, which combines climate change, okay, so climate adaptation, climate carbon sequestration, biodiversity conservation, water security, livelihood improvement. So remember, Green India Mission is about forest, climate, communities, and ecosystem services. So this is actually the way of understanding UPSC examination. So what are its objectives? Okay, now let's come to the target. This is where UPSC can create a lot of MCQs. The mission has two important targets. Okay, the very first one is that to have a tree cover over 5 million hectares, 5 million hectares new tree cover, and improve the quality of tree cover over 5 million hectares to 10 million hectares in total. So 10 million hectares, these are the two different components. First one 5 million hectares, then again increase it to 10 million hectares in total. But be careful, it is not simply increase the forest cover by 10 million hectares. So why it is not so? Because the second 5 million hectares is about improving the quality of existing forest and tree covers. It is to improve the quality of existing. So the two targets are completely different. The one is to create a new one. Here this is to create a new one. So this is to improve older ones. This is to improve older ones. The very important distinction for prelims and the broader objective, which includes improving biodiversity, water services, carbon sequestration, livelihood of forest dependent communities. So again, quantity matters, but quality also matters. So this is the philosophy of Green India Mission. Okay, so now let's look at the progress. According to Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change annual report of 2024 and 25, approximately 944.48 crores are released to 17 states and 1 UT. Okay, 17 states and 1 unit since the project has been launched, covering over 1,55,130 acres. And by March 2026, cumulative release has been to 1,019 crore. Okay, so now let us connect this with India's overall forest and tree cover. According to India's State of Forest Report, India State of Forest Report 2023, forest plus tree cover is 25.17 percentage. This is very, very important. In several examination, this question was asked. Tree cover is about 3.41 percentage, 3.41 percentage, and there has been cumulative increase about 4.83 percentage since 2013. Now, one important analytical point for mains is that do not automatically attribute the entire increase in the forest and tree cover to Green India Mission, because national forest trend can result from multiple programs and factors. This also notes that India ranked third globally in annual net forest gain according to Food and Agriculture Global Forest Resource Assessment 2021. But again, the broader national trend cannot be attributed solely to Green India Mission. Okay, so this ranking cannot be actually credited to Green India Mission alone. So now again, here comes another challenge is that okay, so under why is this Green India Mission so important? Because India has major climate commitments. Basically, under nationally determined contributions, under our India's nationally determined contributions, India has committed to create an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons, 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon dioxide sequestration, which is equivalent by 2030. Okay, so through additional forest and tree cover. So now understand the chain: forest, which leads to carbon sequestration, which leads to climate action, and then we are contributing to nationally determined contribution targets. But forests do not do much more than absorbing the carbon. They also contribute to biodiversity, they contribute to water regulation, they contribute to soil conservation, they contribute to climate resilience, and also they provide lot of livelihood opportunities. Therefore, a weak Green India Mission is not just a forestry problem. Okay, so it's not just a forest problem. Okay, it also can be attributed to climate governance problem. So these can be taken for your mains examination. So now comes the main important part is that cAG report, which is why this mission is in news. Okay, the cAG has conducted a performance audit examining planning, implementation, and monitoring of Green India Mission. Green India Mission. Okay, so the audit covered nearly 16 states and union territories from the period 2015-16 to 2024 and 25. So what was a broader conclusion? So there was a substantial gap. There was a substantial gap between the mission targets and actual achievements. Okay, there is a gap between the target and also actual achievements. India may show an overall increase in the forest cover and tree cover, but that does not mean that specific targets of Green India Mission have been achieved. And that is exactly why audits are important. A national level positive trend cannot replace the program level accountability. So remember this for your mains. Okay, so next, cAG findings. The proposed outlay for budget is 10,600 crore. Okay, but actual budgetary support received during 10-year audit is only 1149.14 crore. So think about the difference. 10,600 crore is the actual layout and 1149.14 crore has been released. Okay, clear? So this is the huge difference. So this immediately raises a question of governance. Okay, can we expect a program to achieve large scale ecological transformation without adequate and predictable financial support? This also says that it was only 47.88 percentage 47.88 percentage of 2000 crore approved initial 4 years, okay, so by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs along with 400 crore from 13th Finance Commission grants for the state. So the lesson number 1 is that ambitious targets without adequate funding can remain only on paper. Okay, so there must be alignment between the policy ambition as well as final fiscal commitment. Okay, so this can be our excellent governance point. Next, coming to now, this is very important for both UPSC and TGPSC as well. Green India Mission was supposed to converge with other programs like Compensatory Afforestation Fund Management and Planning and Manrega, but the CAG found this convergence was not effectively achieved. Okay, so imagine three government departments working in the same area. One is providing money, another is creating employment, another is doing plantation. If they work separately, what happens? Duplication, inefficiency, and waste of resources. But if they converge money, manpower, technical capacity, infrastructure, so we can expect better outcomes. We can expect better outcomes. But however, the audit found that convergence was not effectively achieved. The other initiatives such as Nagar Van Yojana, School Nursery Yojana were also largely operating in silos. So the problem was not simply lack of schemes. India has huge amount of schemes, but the challenge is coordination among the schemes. Okay, so coordination among the schemes. So this is classic UPSC governance issue. Okay, so remember the challenges is not about creating new scheme. We have n number of schemes. Sometimes it is making existing schemes work together. Okay, next, coming to another finding is that now we come to another serious issue is that the audit found that eight states and union territories did not maintain annual account. Okay, so they did not maintain annual account and other accounts were unaudited or contain discrepancies. Okay, students, this is not just about accounting issue. This is an issue of transparency, accountability. This is an issue of financial management. This is issue of monitoring and governance. If we do not know exactly how the money is being managed, then how can we properly access the program? So remember, environmental governance also requires financial governance. So CAG attributed the shortcomings to the combination of inadequate governance, insufficient funding, deficiencies in planning, and weak monitoring mechanism. So here comes the most important lesson. What is that? Increasing money alone will not solve the problem. Okay, expanding financial allocation alone is not sufficient. Stronger institutional coordination, outcome based planning, reliable monitoring are essential. Okay, clear? Is it okay? I think you got my point. Next, coming to uh, for suppose a government says we planted 10 lakh saplings, so UPSC will ask how many survived. UPSC ask how many survived? Did forest quality improve? Did biodiversity increase? Was carbon sequestration enhanced and all? So therefore, input this kind of questions we cannot expect. Okay, so income. Therefore, remember, income is not the outcome. Expenditure is not the impact. Okay, expenditure is not the impact, income is not the outcome, plantation is not automatically a forestation success. The CAC findings highlight the need to measure survival rates. Okay, it has to measure the survival rates for forest quality, biodiversity, carbon sequestration, ecosystems outcome. So this is exactly how high quality GS3 questions can be framed. Okay, the audit highlights the need to judge environmental programs by measurable ecological outcomes like survival rates, forest quality, biodiversity, carbon sequestration, rather than money spent and saplings planted. Okay, clear? Are you able to follow? Next, again, so let's go and understand the context with respect to few MCQs. Consider the following statements. Green India mission was one of the 8 missions under National Action Plan on Climate Change. It was launched by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in 2014 with implementation beginning 2015. Yes, the mission envisages increasing forest and tree cover over 10 million hectares with no separate target for improving quality of existing covers. No. Okay, so existing forest up to 10 million hectares has to be revamped. So this was also one of the target. Next, coming to consider the following statements as per Indian State of Forest report. Forest and tree cover together account for more than 25% of India's geographical area. As per Food and Agriculture Organization Global Forest Resource Assessment, India ranked first globally with in annual net forest gain. No, we are third. Under its NDC, India has committed to creating an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of carbon equivalent by 2030. Yes. Okay. Next again, consider the following statements. The CAG examined Green India mission implementation across 16 states and union territories for a period of 2015 to 16 and 2024-25. The audit found that national level forest cover gains fully matched the specific targets set under GIM. That doesn't happen. That actually doesn't happen. Okay, next, coming to consider the following statements. Against the proposed outlay of 10,600 crores, only about 1149.14 crore was received as budgetary support over 10-year audit program period. The budgetary support represented less than half of the 2,000 crore approved by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. The 14th Finance Commission has recommended, this is 13th Finance Commission has recommended 400 crore towards the state share of mission. Yes. Okay, so this has to be actually 13th. Next, coming forward, consider the following statements. 8 states and union territories did not maintain annual accounts under the mission. Yes, the CAG found that other initiatives like Nagar One Yojana and School Nursery were well integrated with GIM, avoiding duplication. No, it found that other schemes are not being integrated together. So, if all these integrate together, we actually can contribute more to our NDC. Next, moving to consider the following statements. The findings suggest that increasing financial allocation alone would be sufficient to address the mission's shortcomings. So, this nowhere can be seen because only financial constraint will not be enough for any of these schemes. The audit highlights the need to access environmental programs through measurable ecological outcomes rather than just amount spent or number of samplings. Okay, so statement 2 is right. Next, coming to critically examine the findings of recently CAG audit on implementation of Green India mission, suggest measures to strengthen inter-scheme convergence, okay, financial management and outcome-based monitoring in India's afforestation program. So now, how should you structure your answer? So mention that GIM is a key climate change as well as ecological mission. It is a climate change and both ecological mission. Is it okay? So next, write about CAG findings that inadequate funding. So talk about inadequate funding, then weak convergence, then weak financial controls. Talk about planning and monitoring deficiency. Talk about gaps between the target and the achievements. So for to write a way forward, uh, actually you have to source out from the CAG report only. It has to strengthen the convergence of Green India Mission, CAMPA as well as Manrega, ensure predictable and adequate funding, and again strengthening accountability and auditing structure using technologies and monitoring it regularly, measuring the survival rates and forest quality, and again we have to focus on biodiversity, carbon outcomes. We need to involve the local communities, shifting from plantation targets to ecosystem restoration outcomes. So this has to be there, these points has to be mentioned in your answer. And again, while you have to conclude, India's afforestation strategy must move from counting the samplings, just counting the samplings, to measuring ecosystem. Okay, so just numbers do not talk how the system is working, right? It's the ecosystem ultimately which talks, which actually aligns with our mission. Okay, so this has to be your value addition. So Students, today's class gives us one very important lesson. Environmental governance is not successful merely because money is spent or trees are planted. Real success means better forest, better biodiversity, better security, better climate resilience, better opportunities, better livelihood opportunities, better accountability. Okay, that is why Green India Mission and cAG findings are so important for both UPSC as well as TGPSC. If you find today's class useful, make sure you follow the formula of funding, convergence, and financial controls. And remember, for UPSC, facts can help you, but analysis help you score more. So thank you everyone. Keep learning, keep revising, and keep decoding current affairs. Decode UPSC, unlock your potential, decode your future. Thank you so much.